Call in, guys. Talk to me nice.
Welcome back to Sports Tea. Welcome back to Sports Tea.
Talk to me nice. Nice. Call in, guys. Talk to me nice. Call in, guys. Talk to me nice. Talk to me nice.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Sports Tea. Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for joining. As you all load into the stream, do me a favor, like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. But again, thank you all for joining. Tonight, we're going to get into some really good topics. The first topic of the evening is Magic Johnson, and he gets into the GOAT debate. He talks about it. We know that he has no issue talking about the GOAT. He does it often. Usually, Magic Johnson, he has Michael Jordan as his GOAT. He always does. So he never wavers in that. But throughout the years, he's had, a different opinion of who's top five, who's the greatest Laker. And as of late, especially in this past year, since he made the comments about Bronny not being ready for the NBA, needing to spend time in the G League, and he instantly reversed that. It looks like, it looked like somebody from Clutch or Rich Paul called him and just got to him, where he's no longer telling the truth about LeBron James. He's no longer saying what he really thinks. And so he used to put Kobe in the GOAT debate. And now, as of late, and most recently, he says that LeBron James is next to Michael Jordan, that he is number two to Michael Jordan, that Michael Jordan's the GOAT, and then right behind him is LeBron James. And then he also mentions Kareem. And so I thought that this was really interesting. I saw the article on fadeaway.net, and I'm going to show you guys, and we're going to talk through it a little bit. Here's the article. I'm sorry, one moment. Okay, so here it is on fadeaway.net. I hope you guys can see this. Magic Johnson explains why Michael Jordan is the GOAT. Selects two Laker legends right after him. Magic Johnson doesn't believe we have seen anyone do the things Michael Jordan can do. And this was reported a few days ago on September 1st. And the article begins with NBA icon and Los Angeles Dodgers co-owner Magic Johnson answered some fan questions during an all-access event at Dodger Stadium on Thursday. Inevitably, Johnson was asked who he thinks is the GOAT, and he went with Michael Jordan. I would have to say Michael Jordan, Johnson said. We haven't seen anybody do the things that Michael Jordan can do. And he was physically so gifted at the same time, smart, and then I think that we have two other Lakers following him right after that, and that would be LeBron James and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But Michael, I would say, and then you got to throw Bill Russell in there because 11 championships, you can't deny that. Johnson stated, when a man wins that many world championships rings, he's got to be in the GOAT conversation. No question about it. So they go back and forth in today's world about Michael and LeBron, and that's okay. But Michael, I still remember that shot he did against us in 91, where he went up with the right hand, tongue was out, and we went for it. Johnson continued, see, you too young. I want you to YouTube this, okay? So he watched us go down, switched the ball from his right to his left, tongue went left, and he spun it against the glass, and good, Johnson added, still the greatest shot I've ever seen. Johnson was referring to the shot Jordan made for the Chicago Bulls against the Los Angeles Lakers in Game 2 of the 1991 NBA Finals. You can check it out below, and we will.
Fire away. He's now 1 for 9. The look away to Livingston. Jordan.
Look at that move, guys. Just absolutely incredible. When you see Michael Jordan go up with that right and go left, I mean, it was just so beautiful. So iconic.
looks like Michael
Look at
Jordan's
this.
trying to find a way to miss his shot.
Who's
Instead of
that,
taking the easy
Livingston,
one,
that
he tries
passed him
to
the ball?
make it hard and still comes up.
Think
He's
so.
saying to the fans, I love it.
Yeah. What a great move.
The
Anyhow,
tongue is out. Something bad about to happen to the
I
Lakers.
mean, look at him, tongue
It's
out.
Michael Jordan
Look at him go up,
taking
right?
off.
Switch back
For the
left,
deuce.
under.
It almost looked as if he remembered the slam dunk competition for
What
a
an
few years
iconic
ago. And
move. Look
starts
at him
out with
pull
the
up from
flying
practically the
one-hander.
free
And says,
throw
no,
line
no,
and
I
just
used that one already
elevate.
to win the slam dunk. Let me change up and entertain a little bit right now.
What an amazing shot.
He liked it himself.
I don't think we've ever seen
Phil
anything
Jackson. I kinda like having
LeBron
that guy on my
has
team.
done be so iconic.
Scott
I don't
Williams,
even know how LeBron could be
an
behind
observer,
Michael Jordan
and he
when
can't
you
believe
watch
it.
moments like this.
That's a one-game, two of their three-game sweep, despite the
Tongue out.
63 by this man, who at one point tonight hit 13.
That was a good one. So Jordan would lead the Bulls to victory in 5 games over Johnson's Lakers to get their hands on their first NBA championship. It was the beginning of a run of dominance that we haven't seen in modern NBA history. Jordan powered the Bulls to 2 three-peats in the 1990s. They won 3 titles in a row from 1991 to 1993, and then from 1996 to 1998. That sensational stretch is a big reason why Jordan is still widely regarded as the greatest ever today. He would finish his career with 6 titles, 6 finals MVPs, 5 MVPs, 1 DPOY, and 10 scoring titles. As Johnson pointed out, LeBron James is the one who is regarded as the closest challenger to Jordan today. Jordan has won 4 titles, James has won 4 titles, 4 finals MVPs, 4 MVPs, 1 scoring title, and 1 assist title in his career. He is the NBA's all-time leading scorer, a title that he snatched from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in February 2023. Abdul-Jabbar, Johnson's former teammate, won 6 titles, 2 finals MVPs, 6 MVPs, and 2 scoring titles in his iconic career. Some, like Julius Erving, believe he is the GOAT, but they're very much in the minority now. The debate has come down to just 2 people, and we have compared Jordan and James' careers. Speaking of Erving, Johnson showed some love to him when answering this question as well. He brought up the famous shot that he made for the Philadelphia 76ers against the Lakers in Game 4 of the 1980 NBA Finals. And then you didn't see Dr. J walking air against us, Johnson said. Those 2 shots were the greatest 2 shots I've been able to see in my lifetime. Just unbelievable. And we'll go ahead and look at it right here. This is going to be Dr. J's baseline scoop. And I showed you guys this before. This is one of my favorite moves in all of NBA history. I have Dr. J actually in my top 10 greatest of all time. And it's because of the titles that he won with the ABA and the NBA. It's because of that unguardable move right there. Unfortunately for Erving, the Lakers would end up winning this series in 6 games. Johnson, who was a rookie at the time, recorded 42 points, 4 of 23 field goals, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block in the closeout Game 6. He was named Finals MVP, and everybody watching knew by then that this rookie was going to be one of the all-time greats. You know, I think that this article, and I think one of the most interesting things about it is that Fadeaway, what I appreciate about them is that, they pretty much say that LeBron James, they're not stating that LeBron James is second to Michael Jordan. They're saying that narratively he is. And I really appreciated that wording because that's exactly what it is a narrative. So I'm wondering, and I'm wondering what you guys think about this. Why is Magic Johnson saying that LeBron is second to Michael Jordan? Why? Why is he saying this? Why does he catapult LeBron James, who clearly has a lesser resume than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Why is he elevating him above Kareem? Why does he do that? It just feels very much so to me like it's a campaign. Then, like, everybody in the media has to say this, and Rich Paul will call you up, threaten you with something, or make you feel bad, guilt trip you into doing this. It's like he's almost convinced Magic Johnson that this GOAT debate and elevating LeBron James to number 2, that somehow that's what's good for basketball. That's what it seems he's done, and I just can't get jiggy with that at all, but somehow Magic Johnson and others in the media that are also former NBA players, they roll with this, and I don't understand it. Magic Johnson is sensible, he knows basketball, and he knows that LeBron James is probably not even a top 10 player in all of NBA history. And he knows that what he's doing is an absolute disgrace to the league. But what do you guys think? Why is Magic Johnson saying that LeBron James is second to Michael Jordan? Why? Why is he saying this? Salute to everybody in the chat. Mhm. Speak the truth, Magic. Absolutely. The Stella Napster, thank you so much for being here. Yes, talk to me nice. Magic is a flip flopper for sure. Rap God Reloaded, I'm with you on that. Salute to you, Sly. You guys crack me up. You guys never cease to come in this chat, engage, and be super funny. From Mobley Apple, who would even take LeBron over a player like David Robinson? Both physically gifted, but Robinson was a real baller, not an entitled opportunist. I've said it multiple times on this podcast that LeBron James is not better than David Robinson. David Robinson was far more skilled. I believe him to be just an all-around better basketball player. I think that he could run the ball up and down the court just like LeBron James. If the ball was put in his hands, he could do the same thing. But teams and coaches, they didn't allow for players to play in that kind of LeBron-like system, to play star ball where you're allowed to have that many flaws in your game and be considered a point guard, or to run the point of the team, because really you don't have any other moves other than bum rushing the lane. So I'm with you on that, Apple. I agree. I think that David Robinson is a far better player than LeBron James, but I don't have many players ranked ahead of guys that played in the Michael Jordan era. I just think that those guys were more skilled. They were smarter. I mean, we even heard Byron Scott mention that a few days ago. Like, players were just not smart enough. They're just not smart enough to play in a triangle offense today. Donald Jackson, welcome on in. Magic knows who's the GOAT. That's right. I agree. RA, the duck, the deer, the leader of the 4 and 6 kingdom, LeBron James. Facts. He is the leader of the 4 and 6 kingdom. And shout out to Uncommon Sense. Super funny. I love his channel. Huge fan of his work. Dr. J was my first hero. I mean, that guy was just incredible. So the fact that we celebrate guys today, they don't have the kind of moves that Dr. J had. Or Kobe. I love it. Salute to you, William Wright. I suspect Magic left the Lakers because of LeBron. I think that he left the Lakers for a variety of reasons. I think that Rob Pelinka was undercutting him. I don't think that Jeannie Buss was allowing for him to do his job. They gave him a title, but they didn't allow him to actually do the work. And I think he felt really disrespected by that. And so I think he's going to come back to the Lakers in a much stronger position pretty soon. But yes, I agree that LeBron James and what was going on around him definitely had something to do with it. But I don't think that he was the only reason. Don't know. I'm guessing Magic is either doing business or just simply trying to avoid trouble. I think it's the latter, trying to avoid trouble. I think he always has prided himself on being a neutral, a voice. in this whole thing, and he really doesn't want to feed into the battle of the eras. He's known as being a good guy, a nice guy, somebody that everybody likes. So, for him to uh, lower himself to this battle of the eras kind of pettiness, I think he is truly above it, and we've seen him. I mean, he loves Larry Bird. They have done interviews together, written books together. They have done documentaries together. They He really has a lot of respect for the sport, as do most people of his era. And today's players don't. And I just think he doesn't want to, I don't think he wants to get in the weeds with all that, for sure. Dom, what's your opinion on Horace Grant's interview with Stacey King? I think that uh, Michael Jordan calls him Ho Grant, for a reason. I think people called him Ho Grant for a reason, but I am going to address that in another video. So be on the lookout. I will be covering Horace Grant's interview with Stacey King. I really love Stacey King's podcast, so let me just say that. Um, Hakeem, yes, Hakeem is, I think, better than LeBron James by a wide margin. Yes, I don't understand that at all. Why Magic going with LeBron over like Kareem, Kobe? I take Kareem, Bird, Hakeem, Duncan, Steph, Kobe, Dr. J, of course Jordan over LeBron. I mean, it's a laundry list of players that I would take over LeBron, honestly. I would legit take DeMar DeRozan over LeBron. Of course, I have Magic over LeBron, also besides the other guys I mentioned. Salute to all the moderators in the chat. I really appreciate you guys being here. Rap God Reloaded. Honestly, Paul George is better than LeBron James. I think that Paul George's mentality, I, I think that they have similar mental weaknesses. I'll say that. But I do think that Paul George is an even weaker player than LeBron James as far as mentality is concerned. And I think that, he's at the point of stealing money in his career. And I don't really have too much respect for Paul George and his what he's delivered over the past several years. But I do I want to talk more about Magic Johnson and something that was really interesting to me. And really, Magic Johnson back in 1993 talked about Michael Jordan being the best ever. And it was a really, really interesting sideline interview from the game. So, the Bulls were playing the Phoenix Suns. This is back in 1993. They were on the verge of making history. And Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas were talking, and they're being interviewed. It was really, really good, and I want us to watch this together, and we'll react. But basically, Michael Jordan was always trying to surpass Magic Johnson. That was the player that was in front of him in his eyes. That was the legacy that he was chasing. And Isaiah Thomas was a longtime rival of Michael Jordan's and a competitor. Their team, the Bad Boy Pistons, really, Michael Jordan, it took him a while to overcome that team. They had to get bigger, stronger, faster. They had to work on their game season over season and just get better as a team, and they did, to finally overcome that team. So, LeBron James talks about defeating his rivals, destroying his idols, and I thought to myself, I mean, is that something that Michael Jordan was really able to do? What LeBron James claims that he did, was he really able to do that? Even though Michael Jordan had the commercial of talking about his failures, and essentially failure isn't fatal, because what those failures allowed him to do was to become, into the greatness that he became. And so, you know, I think a lot of people really respect Michael Jordan's humility. And I think a lot of players back in the day that was their thing, was being modest, was letting other players say that you were the GOAT, letting fans say that about you. And so LeBron James has never he's never missed an opportunity to tell us out of his own mouth that he's the GOAT, right? He told us that one right there made me the greatest of all time. But other people have said that about Michael Jordan. I mean, very early in his career. I mean, going back to 1993, before he goes on to make history post ABA NBA merger, because winning 3 in a row was unheard of since the ABA NBA merger. Winning 6 titles, Michael Jordan has the most titles since the ABA and the NBA merged. And really what that means is that majority of the talent was in the ABA. And once that came into the NBA, that means that everybody had to really compete even harder. Competition was just more fierce. All the best players were now in the NBA. And so Michael Jordan won 6 titles, the most titles in that era. And so that is why people, I think, regard his titles in a really high. I mean, not to mention the fact that they were 2 three-peats. But that's part of why people place such an emphasis on the 6-0. People want to know why that is, and that's the reason. Just in case, you don't know. But again, I want to share with you an interview of Isaiah Thomas and Magic Johnson, and they're talking about Michael Jordan and, if their teams would be able to beat this 1993 Bulls teams, like if the best version of their squad could beat Michael Jordan and what that looked like. And they talked about it and essentially talked about him being the greatest player that they've ever seen. And I want us to watch this together and we'll go ahead and react.
Here's the premise. We have with us Magic Johnson calling the game, of course, with Martin Mike. And joining us from the Magic Kingdom in Orlando, where he's with his kids at Disney World, Isaiah Thomas. They were the leaders of the last 2 teams to win back-to-back championships. Each was thwarted in their efforts to three-peat. Let's begin with you, Magic. You were quoted earlier in the week as saying that while the Bulls certainly are one of the great teams of all time and belong in the conversation, you believe your Laker champions of, let's say, 85 or 87, both teams beat the Celtics in the finals, either one of them could beat these Bulls.
Well, because we have more weapons. I think that what happens sometimes, Bulls rely on Michael too much. And what I was saying, if you get me in foul trouble and get Michael in foul trouble, take us both out, you'll see what would happen. Our team would dominate them. I mean, who's going to stop Kareem? And we had so many more weapons. It's just we would beat them.
Isaiah, your thoughts on your Piston teams that won back-to-back before the Chicago Bulls beat you in a sweep in the Eastern Conference Finals in 1991, and that started them on the road to their first of 2 in a row, now verging on 3. Could the best of those Pistons clubs beat these Chicago Bulls?
Well, I think it would have been a very interesting games in terms of matchups. I think the thing that really hurt us, if you remember, after we won our first championship was expansion, and we lost Ricky Mahorn, and we weren't able to do a couple other things that we wanted to do with the draft and everything else. So it would have been interesting to see how well our team would have fared against this Bulls team. But, when you're talking about this Bulls team, you're really only talking about Michael Jordan. And, you can't really say that, our team would have beat him or the Lakers team would have beat him because nobody really has found out a way to stop this guy. Now, sure, if you take Michael away and you take Magic away and you take me away and you take Michael away, then our teams are better. But the fact is, he's still there.
It seems to me, though, that although teams peak at different times, when the Pistons were beating the Bulls, you had the right kind of defense. You were a tremendous defensive team and physical. You could rough the Bulls up. And with you and Joe Dumars in the backcourt, Michael really had to work on the defensive end. You were often running him into picks and wearing him out.
Well, the thing that amazes me about Michael Jordan and about I think the rest of the players in the league is his stamina and his endurance. The thing that I wasn't able to do, the thing that Magic wasn't able to do, we succumbed to injuries. We didn't have the type of stamina, the type of energy level that Michael seems to possess every single night, whether he's playing against the worst team in the league or the best team in the league. He has an energy level that's unmatched by any other player or any other athlete that I've seen in professional sports, whether it be basketball, football, baseball, track, tennis. His energy level is so much greater than ours, it seems, that night in, night out, he's there performing at a level that we frankly just weren't able to reach, and that's why he's there tonight, healthy and trying to three-peat, and Magic and I succumbed to injuries.
High praise, that's for sure. Isaiah and Magic, stick with us. We'll continue in just a moment after this from Prudential. Well, that's the topic, the possible three-peat by these Chicago Bulls, and we're talking over with Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas. Magic, a large part of this question is the era in which a team tries to accomplish it. You and Larry Bird were at your respective peaks at the same time, so the Celtics and the Lakers often went head-to-head. And earlier in the decade, the Celtics would meet the 76ers in the Eastern Conference Finals, or you guys would meet them in the finals. Otherwise, the Celtics or Lakers might have had even more in succession.
Well, that's true. We had the deal with the Boston Celtics, who was a fierce team to play against, who was a championship team. We had to beat them a couple times. They beat us. And then also, we had to deal with Detroit when they came up, and they had risen to the championship level. But let me just say this. No question that Michael would have scored 50 on us or 50 on anybody else because he's just a great basketball player. But I think we would have held everybody else down and not take anything away from the Bulls because I'm going to be very upset if he three-peats, that being Michael Jordan, because he's going to have something over me. See, I can tease him about my 5 championships. Now he's going to be able to, if he does it, be able to tease me about three-peating, and something I couldn't do.
Of course, 5 titles for you and 4 other times in the finals, and each of the 4 times you lost, it was against certifiably great teams. Isaiah has already praised Michael to the heavens. One more quick one from you, Magic, then back to Isaiah. Do you feel that Michael is the best ever?
I think so. I think he's not only the best basketball player, but probably the greatest athlete that ever played any sport. And I also think that I had to give praise to another guy in Larry Bird. He was probably the most fierce competitor that I've ever faced. But Michael Jordan is not only the best basketball player, but he's the most exciting basketball player to ever play. We only dream about doing things that he can do, and that being Isaiah and myself.
Isaiah, quick thought about the second half. The Phoenix Suns come right into the teeth of it here, and yet they lead at halftime. This is supposed to be a Bulls coronation, but the Suns are not succumbing easily.
Well, I think what happened in the first half, if you go back to the start of the game when you had the shot on the chalkboard that said win one game, Phoenix came out to play a basketball game when Chicago came out competing with destiny and history. And if the second half, holds true to the fact that Phoenix is still playing a basketball game and Chicago is competing for history or destiny, then Phoenix is going to win the game because you got to win the basketball game in order to win the championship or to go to the next level. And right now, Phoenix is playing a basketball game and Chicago is talking about history and destiny. So one of the teams has lost focus.
Isaiah, thanks a lot. Always great to talk with you.
I absolutely love that interview because you're talking about 2 guys that they competed against Michael Jordan. So Magic Johnson, you heard him. So he said a few things that were really interesting, right? He talked about literally not wanting Michael Jordan to three-peat because then he would have something over him. But the whole conversation that Magic Johnson was having, what was he talking about? Titles, rings. That was the conversation amongst the players. That's what they valued. So how do we even compare today's era to a time like that, to 90s basketball, when it really was all about winning and titles, when that's how you were judged and ranked? You heard Magic Johnson. Michael Jordan would have something over me if he were to make history tonight and three-peat. And what's a three-peat? Winning 3 times in a row. Winning. That's what it's about. How can we even compare players of today to those of the 90s when today players, they care about stats. They value stats. They value all-time stats, longevity stats. Not winning titles. They've in fact said that winning titles were not important at all. So if we're going to say that, then we can't judge players today against a Michael Jordan or against anybody that played in the 90s because the mindset and what they played for were totally different. And we just saw it. What Magic Johnson, what Isaiah Thomas played for, the reason why they got on the court, the reason why they went out to compete, it wasn't so that they can be congratulated by fans. That's a result of it. That's a byproduct, right? Of your greatness is, yes, fans are going to congratulate you. People are going to celebrate you, but that's not why you play. You play to win. That's why they played. Today, players are playing for the money. They're playing for the recognition that they don't deserve. That's what they're playing for. They're playing for endorsement deals. They're playing for money. And we'll get into just how greedy they get later on in the episode. But, it really, it helped me ask the question, did Michael Jordan really accomplish what LeBron James said that he did with his rivals and his idols? Isaiah Thomas was a rival. He wound up triumphing over that rival. He didn't win every time, but he wound up overcoming the Pistons. I don't know that he destroyed the Pistons because they beat the Bulls too, right? But his idol, I think he idolized Magic Johnson for sure. I don't think that Michael Jordan would say that he destroyed Magic Johnson or, that he annihilated I don't think that he would say that. I think that he would say, after a long time of losing, he finally won. He finally got over the Pistons hump. I think that he would say he was chasing Magic Johnson's legacy and he surpassed him. but I don't think that he would say he destroyed him. It's just disrespectful. It's really rude. He would say that he failed a lot in his career, and that's what helped him to succeed. That's the difference between LeBron James and Michael Jordan, and really, it's not even close. And just when you watch that interview, I mean, how classy was Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas? I mean, Isaiah Thomas was just such a handsome guy, especially back then. I mean, so demure. So buttoned up and well put together and so well spoken. You don't even hear guys speak like that today. They don't have that kind of cachet. The language skills are just not there. The manners, just the eloquence and how they speak on the game as well is just not there. And a couple of other things that they said was really important. So Magic Johnson came out, and this is the 1993 finals, and he's saying that only thing the Bulls have is Michael Jordan, that the Bulls are way too reliant upon Michael Jordan. And so this is their third championship. And all people say is that Michael Jordan didn't win until he got Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen carried him. Oh, his whole team was this and that. And you heard two superstars, two legends in the game that just finished competing against Michael Jordan and the Bulls say, hey, all they've got is Jordan. If they remove Jordan for the team and, and they're facing against my team, Magic said, hey, if me and Jordan both foul out, what are they going to do? The Lakers are going to dominate the Bulls. And, I believe it. And I believe it because I don't think that Scottie Pippen was the winner that he was in the first three-peat, in the second three-peat. I think that he matured and developed much more as a player towards their second three-peat than the first one. And so, again, I just think that Magic Johnson, he was trying to look good the same way that players today, like if that were, let's say that was Kobe Bryant talking about LeBron James and he was saying those things, he would have been blasted as a LeBron James hater. Oh, he's just hating because he's no longer playing. But it wasn't viewed that way. The way that Magic was saying, hey, I think my 85 and 87 Lakers would have beat the Bulls, like it wasn't considered hate. It was all just part of the game and their opinion. And it wasn't, people didn't get so offended back then about somebody's opinion. And it was all in good fun to talk about the game and the what ifs and hypotheticals. But we've always talked about hypotheticals, always. And we've always had discussion and sports debate about what if this and what if that. You just heard it in 1993. And you heard Isaiah Thomas completely disrespect the Bulls team. All they've got is Michael Jordan. That's what he flat out said. That's all they've got is Michael Jordan. So the idea that Scottie Pippen they didn't value Scottie Pippen at all. You heard them. But now you see, fast forwarded years later, all of a sudden, Scottie Pippen and his contribution to the Bulls is being, I'm not going to say exaggerated, but it's being talked about in a way to destroy Michael Jordan's legacy and put him down. But Scottie Pippen really wasn't like that. Yes, he was a great player, but when you take a look, he wasn't all that much respected back when they were actually playing. They didn't view him as a threat. They didn't think that he could carry the team without Michael Jordan, and he couldn't, and he did show that. So again, I think I love that video because what you hear is two grown men say that Michael Jordan was the greatest that they've ever seen. And what they say specifically is that he's the greatest that they've ever seen across any and all sports, the greatest athlete against anybody who's ever played a sport. So he's not just the GOAT in basketball, guys. I mean, he was considered the greatest athlete ever. And to some and many, he still is. So I thought that was really interesting. Greatest athlete across all sports ever. Greatest they've ever seen in any sport. And he goes football, basketball, like it didn't matter. He said any sport. Both of them said that. But what do you guys think? Do you think that Michael Jordan really accomplished the things that LeBron James is saying he did in his Forever King commercial? I mean, do you think that Michael Jordan deserved to be called the greatest ever as he was about to win his 3rd championship against the Phoenix Suns? Curious to know what you guys think. For a brief moment, Bo Jackson was considered to be a better athlete. And I mean, Bo Jackson in New York, the Bo Jacksons were really popular to wear. That sneaker, it was a hood favorite, a hood classic. So, yeah, that's a really interesting take. And yeah, Bo Jackson was considered the greatest athlete at one point. And I think there was a point where Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods, like they were just they were the pinnacle of athletes. Like they were the greatest athletes that, people were going to see at that time, and they were regarded that way. Obviously Tiger Woods got into a lot of trouble, and, I'm not sure that he's still viewed that way, but at the time, in his prime, oh my gosh, Tiger Woods was considered the greatest thing ever. So guys, I think that now we can move on to the next topic. We talked about Magic Johnson and him referring to Michael Jordan as the GOAT. And I just feel like when you see Michael Jordan do the things that we've seen him do, and Magic Johnson even, I mean, he can't possibly believe, based off of what he even said in 1993, that LeBron James even compares even a little bit to Michael Jordan. So it's just really hard to believe that he believes himself in the things that he's saying today. But hey, it is what it is. I think that he is, like I said, being very neutral, trying to, I'm not going to say play both sides, but he wants to be a neutral, friendly face for everybody. And he doesn't want to get into the weeds with this. So moving along, LeBron James, there's been quite a bit of chatter about LeBron James, of course, the Forever King campaign that he's done, that ridiculous campaign, and all of the ridiculous comments that Rich Paul has been coming out with during this off season, and coaches, other folks just coming out and saying a variety of things. Ty Lue, his interview with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay, it continues to be talked about. A variety of tidbits from that interview continues to be talked about. Shannon Sharpe continues to release clips from that interview, and he's really like riding off the Ty Lue interview, and it's not really dying down. But there was a clip that came out that Shannon Sharpe clipped, and it was talking about LeBron James like getting mad at Ty Lue and getting mad at him during the NBA Finals Game 7 when he asked to give him more. Like, hey, I need more from you. And he's like, what do you want me to do, Ty Lue, or T Lue, whatever he called him? And he's just like, I want you to stop turning over the ball. I want you to guard Draymond better. There's a variety of things you need to do. And you need to get it done. You need to play better defense. You need to step it up. And he stood on business, and LeBron James apparently had a tantrum and went around to all the, the coaches and the staff on the Lakers complaining about Ty Lue, giving him this feedback and asking him to do better and to do more and to step up for his team. And so I want to play this clip for you guys. And, it's like when you hear things like this, you wonder, is LeBron James actually coachable? What is he like? I can't imagine playing with him and being a teammate. I can imagine him just being such a horrible teammate, even though people have never really come out and said that. But when you hear things like this, how can he be seen as a good teammate? How can he be viewed as coachable? Who'd really want to coach LeBron James? I can't imagine having a job like that and dealing with a petulant child. But let's take a look at this clip from Club Shay Shay's interview with Ty Lue, and he talks about this incident with LeBron James during Game 7 NBA Finals against the Golden State Warriors in 2016 when they won the title.
But I mean, do you understand what you did? They fired the coach mid-season.
Mm-hmm.
You get that team. Not only did you get them to the NBA Finals, you orchestrated the greatest comeback in Finals history, down 3-1 to a guy he was the first guy to be a unanimous MVP, and 2 of the last 3 games were on the road. How do you lie to them? You got to lie. Sometimes coaches tell us all the time. Sometimes guys got to lie to you. How do you lie to them and tell them they really got a chance to win this?
You know what's crazy is that I swear to God, I thought that we can win. Like even with down 3-1, I thought that we could win. What?
You had just lost. You had just went down 3-1 at your home court, D-Lou.
But I'm saying we lost the 2 games we lost first, we got blown out.
Yeah.
We win game 3.
Yes.
We should have won game 4. We tricked it out the last 2 minutes of the game.
Right.
Right. So we go down 3-1, and I'm like, we still have opportunity to win this. Like we still can win. I really believed it, but we had to make some tweaks and we made some adjustments. And like I said, I give our guys credit for doing that. But what's funny, like getting to that point, every time we lost a game, I never showed film. And so David Griffin would go back to our video guy, DV. He was like, man, what the hell is he doing? Like, why? He said, listen, just trust him. You know what he's doing?
Right.
Like, just trust him.
Right.
Like, if he's doing it, I believe in it.
Right.
So, like, because after game 1, or even in the finals before, like, if we show film and like they was blowing us out. Like, It was like, you don't want mentally, you don't want that, you don't want.
We can't beat these guys.
Exactly. So you don't want the guys seeing that. So we come in, have a fun day, shooting half court shots, tweak some stuff here and there. And when we win, that's when we be in long film sessions, all the stuff we're making mistakes on, and like, well, we got to clean up to be better. And it worked because you don't want to psych the guys out thinking like, man, how can we beat them?
Right.
You know, and so every time we lost, I never showed film. When we won, I showed all the stuff we need to get better at. And we just had to make some tweaks defensively, and we made those tweaks. Like I give JR, Shump, and all those guys credit for what we was able to do to change our strategy. Because if you play Golden State the way they play, their pace and how fast they play, you don't know until you're in it.
Right.
You can't go to practice and work on stuff.
You can't replicate that.
Can't do it. You know, and so I saw that when you switching everything, they're going to pick you apart.
Right.
Like Draymond with his passing, Steph and Clay with their movement, like you just can't switch everything. And so after game 4, I was like, listen, when Steph and Clay come together, splits and all that, we switching it. Anybody else, you stand locked in. So it won't be no confusion. If we make a mistake, we're going to make a mistake on, the other guys. We ain't going to make a mistake on these guys. And so it worked. Like JR and Shump locked in Steph and Clay. Like if you guard Iguodala, Livingston, you pushing up, you just protecting, and like it changed our whole series. Like it changed it. And then the performance that Bron and Kyrie had in game
6.
No,
game 5. They
game
both
5.
41.
Yeah, in the game 5, and like going home for game 6, like I thought we wore them down. And then game 7, you got the best player in the world going into game 7. You gotta love your chances.
Right.
So that's kind of what happened.
Was it ever a situation that you had like, because it's hard because you got a LeBron, man, or any great player to like, bro, I need more from you. You got to give me more.
Yeah, halftime of game 7. Yeah, halftime of game 7. We come in the locker room and like this, we're gonna show film. So no, ain't no film. Like, so I came and said, Bron, what you gonna do, man? What you mean? So you gotta do more. Like, you gotta be better. Like, what you want me to do, T-Lou? I'm like, because he had 20 points and might have 7 assists, but he left a lot on the table to me. Right. And this is game 7. You're the best player in the world. I was like, we need. What you want me? I said, you got to guard Draymond better, score the basketball, stop turning over, be aggressive. Anything else you want me to say? So he mad him up, right? So I go in the office, I slam the door. So later, after it was over, Damon Jones said, Bron came to him like, man, can you believe T-Lou, man, call me out like that? That's some bull, whatever. D. Jones said, well, I ain't been here all year, but everything I read and you called and told me, you trust him. Why not trust him now? He's like, F you. So he go to James Jones. James Jones, can you believe T-Lou? Man, I can't believe it. James Jones said, did he lie? So then Bron snatches Steph out of the locker, storm out. That's all she wrote. I mean, JR, people understand, JR scored the first 7 points in the third quarter.
He did.
And then after that, we were down 7. Mm-hmm. So JR scored 7 straight. And then after that, and Bron, what he did after that was all she wrote.
The chase down and then Kyrie's 3-point shot. I don't know because you guys had gone like 3 minutes, T-Lou, and nobody could score.
I know.
It was like somebody put a lid on the basket.
Yeah.
Everybody was bricking, airballing. You can feel that it was tightening.
Yeah.
Everybody felt, I don't care what anybody says, everybody felt it.
Yeah.
Do you feel that if Iguodala had laid that ball up, that was going to be the momentum that they needed to win the game? Or you felt you guys, even if they had broke the score, because you guys scored first?
Yeah. I mean, no, they scored first.
The guy, it was tied.
Yeah, it was tied.
He blocked it.
Yeah.
And then Kyrie started to dance.
Right. And so we called timeout. And the thing about Bron was exhausted. And so we get to the bench. I mean, he's done. So I'm like, shit. Kai, it's time to dance. You know what I'm saying? So I like, we want to run pick and roll, because Clay was a great defender.
Right.
And like I said, Steph, to where he's at now defensive wise, like he took a huge step, and take pride in guarding, now. And so they had no weak links.
Right.
You didn't want Draymond. You didn't want Iguodala. Mm-hmm. You didn't want Clay. So I was like, but we got to try to get Steph in action.
Right.
So, we run a pick and roll. Kyrie gets a switch. I ain't going to shoot a 3. You know, I ain't gonna shoot three. And so he.
But that's his shot.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
That side step three. That's his shot.
So he gets to that right wing. He's dancing, and he shoots it. And like, man, like from that point on, I just blacked out. Like, like once he made that shot, I like blacked out.
He blacked out when Kyrie Irving made the shot. He didn't black out when LeBron James got that block. And I mean, look, that was an important play, but I just wonder why LeBron James is never the reason why he won a title. It's always somebody else. Kyrie hits that iconic shot with difficulty and precision. They were celebrating him, not LeBron. LeBron was celebrating himself. But that's usually what he does, right? And of course, he threw this childlike, terrible two-like tantrum in the locker room, storming out and going around to everybody complaining. Can you believe T. Lou? Like, get over it. You do need to defend better. You do need to stop turning over the damn ball. I love this. Latantrum. Latantrum. I love it. That might be the next thumbnail. Latantrum. Good, Mr. Wise. Absolutely love that. But do me a favor, guys, and like the video. Don't forget, smash the like button for me. We've got 114 folks in here watching the stream, so hit that like button for me. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Share the video. Share this video out with your friends, your family. If you like Sports Tea and the content, share it on your social media so that we can blow up the community to be really big. But yeah, I guess we can move along to, you know, the other part of the question of, is LeBron James coachable? You know, when you hear a story like that in the NBA Finals, you would think that LeBron would want to stop turning over the ball and he'd be able to receive, you know, feedback and criticism so that he can get better instantly and win that title. So he should have been listening to his coach. His behavior and just storming out, stomping around, like, why should his teammates be subjected to that? Why should the coaches? It's like he's the only person there. I think that he's uncoachable. I think that that's one of the examples of LeBron James being uncoachable, quite frankly. And I want to show you another uncoachable moment. To me, more evidence. I want to show you more evidence that LeBron James is just uncoachable. Who would want to coach him? Because if you stand up to him, you're probably going to get fired. He's more like the GM, right? So you stand up to LeBron James, you're going to get fired. If you want to roll with a strategy that he doesn't agree with, that doesn't highlight him as the, offensive facilitator, then you're probably going to get fired. If you tell him to stop turning over the ball, you're probably going to get fired. And so here's some more evidence, guys. And I don't know if you watched the Starting Five documentary. I talked about this about, a year ago or so, where he comes out in that documentary and he's just blasting Darvin Ham, in I think episodes 1 and episode 2, really setting the stage for why he was fired. And that was the fact that Darvin Ham wanted to limit his play on the court. He wanted to restrict his minutes, make him play for 25 minutes. And LeBron James had a tantrum over this. And he acts like a child. He's over 40 years old and this is how he behaves. Let's listen to this and watch this video and we'll react together. But you see him having a fit because Darvin Ham wants to play younger players. He wants to get younger in the Lakers so that, he can preserve LeBron James. He can be part of the team in a meaningful way. But of course, he doesn't want to do that because what would that impact? That would impact his ability to get a triple-double. That would impact his ability to score double-digit points every game. That would impact his ability to pad the stat. And he just can't have that now, can he? But anyway, here's the video. Let's watch together. It's a short one and we'll react.
Darvin Ham talking about wanting to keep LeBron on a minutes restriction, 28 to 32 minutes per game.
Yeah, you say hi, y'all. As soon as you go right here, he's throwing it here and it's right there. Misdirection shit. Hey, and get another fucking stop. Yeah, I know y'all got me on fucking old man time percentage of this shit. Play 8 minutes and shit. 2 shots in 8 minutes, you're just getting cardio. I hate this shit already. This shit's garbage. Y'all know I'm in better shape than everybody.
the minutes restriction. It's something I don't agree with. I've never agreed with it. I prepare my body physically and mentally, prepare my mind for battle.
I mean, do you see that face that he's making at Darvin Ham? I mean, he clearly hated him. He's giving him a look like, you got the job, but you didn't get to pick your coaching staff. You got the job, but really, I run this. This is my ship. You're about to be out of here. Yeah, you think you're doing something. You think you're in control. You think that you're the decision maker. You're not, buddy. That's the look on his face. Like, I'm going to get you out of here. And sure enough, he did. But what Darvin Ham wanted to do, he wanted to play him for 25 minutes, not 28 to 32. But LeBron wouldn't agree to any minutes restriction. And he goes complaining. Did you see the look on the assistant coaches' faces? They're like, here we go. They're looking at him like, really? Why do you have to be a child? Why can't you just, be a team player? Help make your team better. It's not all about you. And then he's like, I'm in better shape than everybody, right? Yeah, because probably you're on PEDs, right? Allegedly, LeBron is on PEDs. So that's probably how you're in better shape than everybody else. I mean, that's what Cale Sonnen said. Said they have the same dealer. That was what Cale Sonnen said. They have the same dealer. We saw steroid jaw. The jaw, that's caused from steroids typically. We saw that. We saw the very emaciated look and then came back, looking like the Hulk. That's what we saw. We saw Shaq tell people that he was on that Bron. So I don't know that LeBron James is truly, in better shape than everybody, in the right way. Can we even factor that in? Is the longevity even important anymore if it's based off of a lie, if it's based off of cheating the sport and the game? I don't know. But I don't think LeBron James is coachable. Okay, we saw the evidence. We saw him talking about old man minutes. You are an old man and you play like that. You play gassed. Why should he be playing 44 minutes a game and you can't make it out of the second half? You're gassed. And he's told us that. So why should you be allowed to spend 44 minutes on the floor? Makes no sense to me. But what I found really interesting is the fact that LeBron James has been accused of trying to ruin the NBA. I think that he already has. I mean, we've seen the ratings take a dip. We've seen him just be such a negative impact on this league, on the fraternity of the league. And it's a really interesting thing because LeBron James just seems to sort of ruin everything that he's a part of. I mean, the NBA is so difficult to watch on all of these different streaming platforms and things of that nature. And, NBA fans can't even have illegal streaming anymore. They can't have that. I mean, are you guys aware that Stream East is no longer? Have you guys heard anything about that news? I want you guys to see this article. Stream East, the illegal streaming service. This was a service that, it was really feeding the streets, man. You could go to this site and watch any game that was live and, have access and not have to pay hundreds of dollars a month to watch your favorite NBA teams. And so, Stream East, the world's largest illegal sports streaming platform, shut down in a complete sting. I believe it was Egypt. The Egypt officials worked very hard with, officials in the U.S. to shut this down. And so Stream East, the world's largest illegal sports streaming platform, has been shut down after a year-long investigation, according to a leading United States-based anti-piracy organization. The network of 80 unauthorized domains generated 1.6 billion combined visits over the past year, providing free access to global sports fixtures, including Europe's top football leagues and competitions such as the Premier League and Champions League, as well as the NFL, NBA, and MLB. The Athletic has been informed by the Alliance for Creativity and Entertainment. The acronym is ACE, a coalition of 50 media and entertainment organizations, including Amazon, Apple TV Plus, Netflix, and Paramount, that an operation alongside Egyptian law enforcement officials took place on Sunday, August 24th, to disrupt Stream East's dominant position in the illegal streaming market. Traffic to the site reached 136 million average monthly visits, with domains primarily originating from US, Canada, the United Kingdom, the Philippines, and Germany. ACE scored a resounding victory in its fight to detect, deter, and dismantle criminal perpetrators of digital piracy by taking down the largest illegal live sports platform anywhere, said Charles Rivkin, chairman of ACE and chairman and CEO of the Motion Picture Association, MPA. With this landmark action, we have put more points on the board for sports leagues, entertainment companies, and fans worldwide. And our global alliance will stay on the field as long as it takes to identify and target the biggest piracy rings across the globe. 2 men were arrested on suspicion of copyright infringement in El Sheikh Zayed in Giza Governorate of Egypt, which is approximately 20 miles west of capital Cairo, and have subsequently been detained. During the raid, authorities seized laptops and smartphones suspected of operating the sites. In addition to confiscating cash and multiple credit cards, investigators also uncovered links to a shell company in the UAE allegedly used to launder advertising revenue totaling $4.9 million, which is it's equivocal to $6.2 million since 2000. And this is happening since 2010, plus a further 200,000 in U.S. money in cryptocurrency. Multiple real estate properties in Egypt are also suspected of having been purchased with illicit revenues. ACE work in collaboration with law enforcement agencies around the world, including Europol, the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of the U.S. Trade Representative, and National Intellectual Property Rights Coordination Center. Dismantling Stream East is a major victory for everyone who invests in and relies on the live sports ecosystem, said Ed McCarthy, COO of DAZN Group, which is part of the ACE collaboration. This criminal operation was siphoning value from sports at every level and putting fans across the world at risk. In addition to football, Stream East provided pirated access to pay-per-view boxing and MMA, F1, and all the major U.S. sports. In 2024, LA Lakers star Lebron James was seen via a social media clip watching an NBA game between the Minnesota Timberwolves and Dallas Mavericks on Stream East while courtside at an AAU match. At the time, fans of the site feared on social media that the attention would lead to the site being shut down. This action swiftly dismantled what was once the largest illegal sports streaming operation in the world, and I applaud the Egyptian authorities for their partnership, said Larissa Knapp, Executive Vice President and Chief Content Protection Officer of MPA, which is a leading contributor to the ACE initiative. It's further proof that no piracy network is beyond the reach of coordinated global enforcement. At the time of publishing, Stream East's original domain is no longer active. However, a selection of posts on Reddit suggests that backup domains or those purporting to be replacement services are now up and running. One of those platforms carrying the name of Stream East claims to be the ultimate destination for free sports streaming. ACE have confirmed to The Athletic that they are aware of what they call copycat sites where impersonators try and capitalize on a gap in the market and are currently investigating whether the sites are related. Data from brand finance and global brand valuation consultancy that carried out a 2025 survey into fan behavior found that 43% of 14,000 respondents in 13 countries considered using unofficial live stream websites rather than paying full price to watch sport. While the action against Stream East will have a global impact, there have also been recent prosecutions in the UK. Stephen Woodward was sentenced at York Crown Court on July 11 to 3 years in prison after pleading guilty to running 3 illegal streaming websites in Thurst, Yorkshire that generated an income of $1.3 million. Woodward used funds from the criminal operation to buy designer clothes, jewelry, holidays, and a Jaguar sports car worth $91,000. His brother, Christopher, was also given a 15-month sentence for associated money laundering offenses under the investigation by the police intellectual property crime unit branch of City of London Police. Oh, man. I mean, all of this is pretty interesting. I think that LeBron James just had to ruin even legal streaming for NBA fans. Like, can't you just let us cook, LeBron? You know, you just had to be so greedy. I mean, his salary, he's a billionaire. He can't afford to pay for the games. But we have to pay. And it's just, the idea that LeBron James he's above it all. He's above the daily inconveniences that we all have to face. He doesn't have to pay for the NBA games. He's better than everybody. He's above it all. He's allowed to access an illegal streaming site, and it's no problem at all. The NBA didn't make a big deal of it. Nobody even called him out. I didn't hear Stephen S. Smith talking about it. Nobody. This was all just swept under the rug. And of course, because he was involved, and of course, he had to be so bold to let himself be seen using Stream East, an illegal streaming site, because again, he doesn't make enough money to afford the games, right? He can't watch them and pay. He's above it all. He has to use Stream East and then get everybody else busted. It's kind of like he's a dry snitch. He didn't need to use Stream East. He just did it because he can do whatever he wants, right? And there's no consequence. The NBA doesn't say anything. LeBron James was part of this problem. No reprimanding, no fine, nothing. LeBron James should have been fined for that. He should have even been, I would say, suspended for a few games. You don't just get to use illegal streaming services and in public perpetuating this behavior and you're just going to get away with it. Nothing. Nobody says a word. I mean, what do you guys think? Did LeBron James ruin illegal streaming just like he's ruined the NBA? Somebody said fatherless behavior. I'm weak. I didn't even know about this site. This is proof his crew watches all these channels. He knows what's being said about him, etc. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I mean, LeBron James is one of the most hip to what's happening. He's always got his ear to the street. He's just like you and I. He wants to act like he's above you and I, but at the end of the day, he puts his socks on one foot at a time. But yeah, I just think LeBron James is a dry snitch. He couldn't even let NBA fans have Stream East. He couldn't. He's the reason why this whole thing got shut down. He couldn't just let NBA fans cook and go to this site and have something that was just for them. He can't let anybody have anything. It's all about him. He ruined illegal streaming. He ruined the NBA. He created super teams. And Charles Barkley is of the opinion that LeBron James is the reason for the second apron. He blames LeBron James. He blames Kevin Durant. And I want to know what you guys think about it. Is LeBron James and are LeBron James and Kevin Durant to blame for the second apron rule? That's what Charles Barkley thinks. I want us to watch what he said on the Bill Simmons podcast and we'll react together. I thought that it was a really great interview. I love when he makes these appearances on, different platforms. I just think that he's built really good relationships in the media and he continues to support those folks. And I'll go ahead and play it for you guys right now.
This is interesting because I completely disagree with you.
Okay.
I think they came up with it because the player.
And then 10, 12, 13 years later, I never got back again. I remember having the same conversation with Allen Iverson. He's like, man, I thought I was going to be in the finals like 3 or 4 times. I got there one time. I said, so this notion that you're going to get back there, man, when you get a chance to win the Super Bowl, because Bill, let me tell you something. You have to be honest with yourself as a player. It's hard to do. There's very few times you actually have a chance to win the championship. I played in the NBA for 16 years. I think I had a chance to win the title 4 times. That's
Right.
it. That's it. You know, Shaquille, who's one of the greatest ever, he played in the league for over 20 years. He won 4 championships. So this notion that you're going to win all the time, no, man, when you got a chance to win, you better win.
Also, it's a percentages thing. If you're in a 30-team league, only one team could win the championship every year. We've underrated how hard it is to win a championship and all the different things that can go wrong. We just saw last year with the Celtics. You know, you win the title and then your best guy gets hurt.
Yeah, but it takes a perfect storm to win the championship. You got to have a couple great players, obviously, but all your guys got to be in their prime. Your role player, like the Denver Nuggets, when they got the best player in the world, then they got rid of all their guys on the bench.
Yeah.
They're thinking like, you know, we got Joker, we got Aaron, we got Michael Porter Jr., we got Jamal. They got no bench. They got rid of KCP and Bruce Brown. Like, everything has to go well. I mean, think about this, though. If the Eagles don't go out against Saquon Barkley, they don't win the championship.
Right.
They do not. So, man, everything has to go well. Listen, I love the Eagles no matter what, but if they don't go out and get Saquon, they don't win. I mean, hey, how about this? Your Celtics, if they don't go out and get Porzingis, they don't win. But also, I don't want to leave out Drew Holiday, but if they don't go out and get Porzingis 2 years ago, they don't win the championship.
Yeah, I said a couple podcasts ago that the Eagles reminded me of the 2000s Patriots with how they're putting the team together. Like getting Jalen Carter with the 9th pick, right? You go back and do that draft again. He should have gone in the top 3. He falls to 9 for a variety of reasons. Trading for A.J. Brown, trading a pick for him. Like they just consistently outthought teams, which I think you kind of have to do in the NBA now with all these new dumb rules they have.
No, they don't have dumb rules. Hey, cut the bullshit. They ain't got no dumb rules. Let me tell you something. I'm so glad you asked that question.
Is this a second apron defense?
No. Yes. Why did they have to come up with bullshit rules, Bill? Because all these guys want to play together and not compete. How many great players do you need on one team? See, this is what bothers me in my generation. They made up these rules. Like, these young people. Well, if I had $1 for every time I heard the second apron, why did Adam Silver have to put the second apron in? Because LeBron got all his guys together. KD wanted to go play with the Warriors. What? Wait, y'all don't want to win the championship and just compete against each other? Don't get mad at Adam Silver because y'all all want to play together and dominate the league because y'all don't want to compete. I hate when I hear, man, the second apron's not fair. What do you mean it's not fair? If y'all stop all wanting to play together, we wouldn't have to make up bogus-ass rules to stop y'all from playing together.
I couldn't agree with Charles Barkley more. So I thought it was really rich that Bill Simmons jumped out. He's like, is this a second apron defense? Of course it is. And look, it's a really tricky discussion because I always say this. I call the NBA players paycheck slaves. I think that they have golden handcuffs, essentially. It's golden shackles. So yes, they're making all this money and it's golden handcuffs. It keeps them tied to the league, but they're always the worker and never the owner. That's just really the bottom line. And if it was a free market, right? So the NBA is making, this is a $70 billion deal that they just did, right? So the NBA is cheating NBA fans, okay, out of money, out of a good product, right? We have to go searching all around to watch the game. We can't just turn on, we can't just access the sport easily anymore. They've taken that from us. They've taken access away from fans. And what they've done is completely ruin it in a way. They've made it not special. They've made people not want to pay for it. That's for sure. The product hasn't been good enough to pay what they're asking. So people are going to continue to access the NBA illegally. It's not going to go away. They're not going to be able to stop it just because they were able to crack down on one of Stream East's domain or a few of them. There's so many, and they're going to keep this going. So it doesn't really matter. The NBA is really, they're cheating NBA fans, and they're going to get cheated back in return. And they're not being cheated. They're making money hand over fist, but yet it's never enough. It's never enough money. It's never enough money for the NBA players. So they don't care about the fans. They don't mind cheating us out of our money, but we're supposed to pay to not see the stars on the floor. We're supposed to pay for load management. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, Bill Simmons disagreed with Charles Barkley pretty staunchly. And it's just like Charles Barkley has a point, and he said it over and over, and he's been very consistent in this, very consistent in saying, how much help do you need? Why do you need all these superstars on your team? Why should it be allowed? The second apron needs to be there in order for the league to have some level of competition. It's like the LeBron James era and Kevin Durant, they didn't have to compete. But today's players, the guys that are coming after them, they're going to have to compete. They're fading out the guys that think it's okay to form super teams and not have a competitive lead. That's what they're doing.
This is interesting because I completely disagree with you.
Okay.
I think they came up with it because the Players Association, I don't think, realized that putting these rules in is going to make all these teams blow up, and you're basically going to be able to afford 2 or 3 guys max. And then you're going to have to cut corners everywhere else. Like the Celtics, they had no chance of keeping Drew Holiday and Porzingis on this team with this nucleus.
But everybody on that team was getting paid.
Right. But I'm saying that, but they did a really smart thing with the way they stacked their roster. Like OKC now, they've made all these really smart moves to put the roster there together, and they're not going to be able to keep it together, even though they were smart.
They're paying 3 guys. They're paying their top 3 players, Bill. Like,
right.
Listen, as much as I love LeBron, when he started doing this thing with Bosh and Wade, that was the first wave. Okay.
Right.
The second wave was KD going to the Warriors. Adam Silver had to do something. We can't let one team hoard all the good players. I mean, they had Clay, Steph, and Draymond. They didn't need KD.
Well, that's true. But that was a unique situation. To me, it's like in
What
the
do you
mid-80s.
mean unique situation?
Well, because the cap spiked. That was the year like Joakim Noah,
Yeah,
Alan Crabb, all those
they went
dudes.
there to dominate the league. The reason LeBron went to Miami so he can get him and Wade and Bosh together. If all these guys didn't want to play together, Bill, Adam Silver wouldn't have to come up with this second apron thing. That's the only reason. Like my sons, they were paying KD, Bill, and Booker each $60 million. How many good players do you need? You think I want to play? You don't think in my heyday I want to play with KD and Bradley Beal? Like they're like, we can't pay everybody. They had to come up. This is a bogus rule. I agree with you. But if all these guys don't want to play together, Adam Silver wouldn't have to make up rules.
I was thinking it would be like in the mid-'80s if Philly had you and Andrew Toney and Mo Cheeks and Moses Malone and Dr. J.
No, it'd be more like if Michael Jordan went to the Celtics to play with if Michael Jordan, who was the best player in the league 3 or 4 years before he won the championship, if he had went to Boston or went to LA, that's what it would be like.
Yeah, but you stepped on my joke that I was going to make.
What's that?
I was going to say it'd be like if Philly, because they couldn't afford anyone, had to trade Moses Malone for Jeff Ruin and Cliff Robinson.
You know
and
what?
then you were going to say,
Bill,
oh, no, that's actually what they did, and it was really stupid. I was just, that was going to be a joke I made.
Right now. Let me tell you something right now. You know I got a lot of love and respect for you. It's too soon for that bullshit.
It's 39 years.
Let me tell you something. I'm being serious for 1 second now. I have been bitter and angry because that cost me at least 1 championship, probably 2, because I was just becoming a star.
Charles Barkley, he's going to go get into how Moses Malone was traded and how Philadelphia made some really poor decisions as an organization. I mean, when you think about it, they continue to. So the Knicks and other organizations get beat up, but I don't think Philadelphia 76ers get enough criticism for their poorly ran organization and their decision making. Somebody needs to call them out a little bit more. Anyhow, a lot of things were said. Charles Barkley blames Kevin Durant and LeBron James for creating. They believe that they're the reason why Adam Silver had to create the second apron rule. And when you put it like that, I mean, how can you disagree? Kevin Durant went to the Warriors to dominate the league. LeBron James went to the Miami Heat with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade to dominate the league, to have an unfair advantage over everybody else. That's what they did. This isn't really like something to argue against. I mean, yeah, this is Charles Barkley's opinion, and it's the other people that are of the opinion that, okay, well, this second apron rule, it allows for you not to afford anybody on your team. No, what it requires is that you don't have a bunch of all-stars on your team. That's what it's about. It's about making and allowing for all the teams across the league to be a little bit more competitive. It spreads the talent out much more because teams will not be able to afford superstar talent in 3s and 4s. I have no problem with the second apron rule because of the fact that super teams and so many super teams were formed in the LeBron James era to the point where only LeBron James teams were going to the finals. It was just a little bit too predictable. We knew that LeBron James was going to go to the finals pretty much every year and lose. I mean, winning culture with that wasn't what it was about. It was just about going to the finals and seeing, what would happen. But, Draymond Green passionately spoke out against the second apron. He explains it in layman's terms on his podcast with Baron Davis. And I want you guys to listen to this, and I want you guys to hear Draymond's tears about the second apron and the fact that he can't create super teams anymore. So here we go.
I got a scout, play GM. I play GM at home.
Free agency ain't started. The draft is just starting, and this man is talking about who he got as a sleeper. And listen, the Celtics also traded Kristaps Porzingis to the Hawks. The Celtics, listen, this is all about the second apron. People said they didn't want super teams anymore. Well, here you have it. All these moves are being made to dodge that second apron. For those out there that don't know what the second apron is, in layman's term for you, it's a hard cap. It is a hard cap that no owner is dealing with because the penalties are crazy. You lose draft picks. You lose the mid-level exception. You lose roster spots. You lose the ability to get better and compete as a team. And the amount of money that you lose is insanity. And so the Boston Celtics would have had a salary cap with luxury tax bill of $540 million. It is now at $280 because they got rid of those contracts. So for those that don't understand what the second apron is, as basic as I can put it for you, it is a hard cap. And when I said this before the deal was signed, that this is ridiculous and it's going to hurt players in the end, no one wanted to listen and everybody wanted to act like the PA was making a great deal. The PA made a shit deal, as the PA has done for years now. And every year the pot gets bigger and the business gets better and the players get screwed more. That's just how this business works. And so, in saying that, back to the Boston Celtics, that's what all of these moves are about, people. That's why they got rid of Porzingis. That's why they got rid of Jrue Holiday. That's why you're hearing so many people call on Jaylen Brown. You're hearing so many people call on Derek White. It's because they know they want to get away from that second apron tax. And Jason Tatum being out, things are up in the air. You trade for Anthony Simons, I think, listen, they're the Boston Celtics. They got to be competitive, but at the end of the day, it's an expiring deal, cap situation, all of those things.
They can recalibrate, yeah.
And you got Jason Tatum hurt, right? So if I had to guess, Jaylen Brown, if he have any nicks and knacks this year, probably won't be in the lineup because you're going to recalibrate. You're going to let your books settle. And then next year with Jason Tatum coming back, then you try to retool and start going for it again. And that's just how these things work. You'll see this all over the NBA for years to come because that's just the way this CBA works. And so you'll see this happen over and over again. Yeah, that's my spiel. That's the second apron. I mean, that's the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, we asked for no more super teams, so we definitely going to get no more super teams, but we're also going to get teams that rise in the draft, do great things in free agency, and it's going to be more broken up teams than the teams that you grow up on being like, yo, this team has been together for 5 years. That's going to be hard to do, especially, having young players becoming great and getting better with that.
Draymond Green is such a crybaby. That's my take. What a crybaby. I can't make super teams anymore. I mean, Baron Davis came in and really just tried to clean it up. He had a level head and talking about this. And he's just like, yeah, we don't want super teams anymore. We're not going to have them. And that's just the bottom line. You're not going to be able to keep doing this. Get over it, Draymond. But I think Charles Barkley is right. I do think that LeBron James and Kevin Durant are part of the reason why there's a second apron rule. I do believe that. I do think that Draymond Green is just mad that he can't create super teams anymore. I think it's pretty pathetic that he had to go begging Kevin Durant to come and save them in Golden State. I mean, Draymond Green probably doesn't even have a podcast if Kevin Durant doesn't go to the Warriors. The Warriors and their team are probably like a forgotten, an afterthought if Kevin Durant never goes to the Warriors. And yeah, people can say they won the title in 2022 without Kevin Durant, but that title would have never happened had they not had to trade pieces for Kevin Durant to get, that team. So that team would have never been there if Kevin Durant wasn't traded for those pieces. So it's hard to say that they would have won again in 2022, quite frankly. I think that Kevin Durant is a baby. I'm sorry, that Draymond Green is a baby. I really just think that he has no, I don't know. I just think that he really, he doesn't understand the gravity of what he says a lot of times. So he says these things. He sounds crazy as hell. At the end of that video sounding like super feminine, like, like you have 4 championships, 4 titles, and you're over here crying about the second apron. Like you don't have enough to win. In the same episode, him and Baron Davis discuss what the Warriors need to do to win a title. And I mean, he's talking about they're going to win a title. So how much more help do you need? You're sitting there, you look like Homer Simpson, gray all in your beard, and you're crying. He's just mad he can't create super teams anymore. He's mad about it. That's my take on the Celtics. That's my take on the second apron. Baby. I can't believe people think that Draymond Green is a tough guy. The same guy that got slapped by Tristan Kardashian. The same guy that got slapped by Tristan Kardashian. Let's not forget that, guys. Don't forget that. So we talked about Draymond Green. We talked about Charles Barkley and what their thoughts are on the second apron. We talked a lot about LeBron James and Magic Johnson and the GOAT debate and who belongs there, who doesn't. LeBron James definitely doesn't belong there. But now, guys, I want us to move forward and talk about the Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers scandal. I think that Kawhi Leonard, like this news is just so disappointing. It feels so overwhelming. The evidence feels just super overwhelming in this case. For those of you that don't know, Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers, Steve Ballmer, they are, they're under fire. Apparently Kawhi Leonard, he accepted a no-show job in order to circumvent the salary cap. And, this is something that is being reported around the league, that this is a tactic that owners and players have been using for quite some time. And, I'm sure that Kawhi Leonard isn't the only person that might have, accepted, an under the table deal or a no-show job like this aspiration deal is seemingly so. I want to play the Stephen A clip. He's reacting to this, and quite frankly, he is an absolute disgrace to sports media at this point. It's shameful to me that he capitulates to the ownership of the NBA, and it seems as though he's doing it for a reason. He seems like he really works for and has, like a handshake deal with NBA owners, potentially Adam Silver. He's not player friendly. And part of me feels like I almost can't blame him because of the contentious relationship that he's had with players. It's hard for him probably to be on their side. They've tried to get him fired. They've tried to do, different things. LeBron James has worked behind the scenes to really make it pretty uncomfortable for Stephen A. Smith. So I can see why he's basically just had to, how do I say this? He's pretty much behaves like a coon on national television. That's pretty much what we're witnessing in Stephen A. Smith. And it is really difficult to watch because he's going so hard against players who are Black. Okay. He goes so hard against Kawhi Leonard. He's gone so hard against Kyrie Irving, so hard against Allen Iverson. He'll have a campaign against a particular player and it winds up costing them their career, costing them a contract. And he's almost campaigning for them not to make any money. And, I take issue with a lot of things that Kawhi Leonard has done. I think that, everything that Stephen A. Smith says about Kawhi Leonard is true, but I just don't think it needs to be said that way. And I don't think that he needs to be advocating for him not to be in the NBA or to not have an NBA contract. I think that what Stephen A. Smith is doing is so wrong. It's just despicable and it's evil. And then he wonders why people want to do things to him, why people might want to ruin his career or take some money out of his pocket. And he's been there where his career has been ruined, where, he's been disgraced on TV and, has made a comeback. And, it could be a matter of time before someone takes Stephen A. Smith down for all the things that he's done. But basically, he's being super critical of Kawhi Leonard in this case and literally removing all the blame and criticism of Steve Ballmer and the Clippers. He damn near let him off the hook and it just talked about how great of a guy he was, while he then begins to tear into Kawhi Leonard and say how terrible and awful of a superstar he is. And look, I actually agree. But we're talking about whether or not he signed this underhanded deal. And so I don't understand why Kawhi Leonard load managing, not playing. I think that those points are all irrelevant when we're talking about this situation. I don't understand why he couldn't just give his opinion about whether or not he thinks that this is going on in the NBA, if Kawhi Leonard and Steve Ballmer actually engaged in this kind of business, and why Kawhi Leonard doesn't have the benefit of the doubt, but Steve Ballmer does. That's very interesting. And I just think it's absolutely disgusting on Stephen A. Smith's part. And he's such a snitch. And that's how the players view him. And I can't imagine wanting to give him an interview when these are the kinds of things that he does. So it's no wonder that he has beef with so many players, because he's just an awful, awful sports media analyst as far as, reporting fairly and non-biased. He is not unbiased in the sports media, and that's the problem with Stephen A. Smith. And so I want to play this video for you guys from First Take, and I want us to react together. But here, fine with Stephen A. Smith criticizing Kawhi Leonard and tying the no-show job to the fact that he doesn't play that much in the NBA, if he was willing to criticize Steve Ballmer for doing this deal. So you can't, on the one hand, say that Steve Ballmer is innocent until proven guilty, and then say, well, it's likely that Kawhi Leonard did this because the evidence is just so overwhelming, since he loves to load manage and not come to work and get paid. So I get the connection, but I have a problem with the criticism if you're not saying that Steve Ballmer is likely guilty as well. So he's guilty because he's got the checkbook that he believes makes him untouchable and makes him above everybody else, and makes him not have to follow the same rules and the same cap rules that the other owners have been abiding by. And there's no evidence that all the owners have been abiding by it. So this could be something that goes on rampantly around the league. Okay. And Kawhi Leonard was rumored to be asking the Lakers and Jeannie Buss for quite a bit. He was asking them for like a stake of ownership in the team. Things that were just completely illegal as far as the cap outside of the salary cap and things of that nature. And Jeannie Buss and the Lakers, they rejected that. They said, hey, this is against, the rules of the league. And, we're just not going to do this. Totally fine if, you don't come here as a result of it. And then he went to the Clippers because they were willing to do these illegal things. And so that is, to me, something more to mention than to mention that he's a load manager, and he's tying things that are just, to me, he's conflating the fact that Kawhi Leonard doesn't talk as a superstar. He doesn't want to promote the league. He doesn't want to, really market the brands that he endorses. He talked about the New Balance commercial with kids talking for him. Look, that could be a tactic. I actually don't mind Kawhi Leonard not speaking. I actually don't mind it at all. We don't know what he wants to say. We don't know what his opinions are. And guess what? I'm fine with that. I don't know where he stands on social justice issues. I don't care. He's not an expert on any of those issues. So I don't need to hear from him about these things. Now, if it's a particular passion of his and he has an interest in being an advocate for something, by all means. But if he doesn't want to talk and he's able to market his New Balance shoe with kids and creates brand interest and brand loyalty through that, so what? Why is it Stephen A's business? If he doesn't want to be a big talker in post-game press conferences and he just wants to say what happened on the court and answer the questions matter-of-factly, so what? Maybe he doesn't trust himself to be a public speaker. Maybe he has severe anxiety when he's speaking in the public. I just don't appreciate the way that Stephen A. Smith attacks him and other players when they've done nothing to deserve that attack. Just report the news as as you see it, give your opinion, but it doesn't need to be a personal attack. And that's where Stephen A. Smith comes under fire. He literally is saying there's so much evidence that this happened that Kawhi Leonard is guilty, but if Kawhi Leonard is guilty, then so is Steve Ballmer and so are the Clippers. He can't write the check himself. And I want to give I want to say that Kawhi Leonard is stealing money from the NBA. He doesn't show up to work. He does want to make the most money for doing the least amount of work and physical play on the court. That's something that I believe. When the fires happened in LA, he had nothing to do with the fires. His family had nothing to do with the fires. And he said that he wanted to go and be with his family, even though they were totally fine. House is intact. Nothing was wrong with them. He just has to take time off at every turn. That's who Kawhi Leonard is. He's been that way. So again, Stephen A. Smith is not wrong about the criticisms that he has of him as a basketball player, but I think he takes it too far in this case where he's trying to get him maybe suspended from the league, maybe for the Clippers not to want to honor his contract. There's no way that Kawhi Leonard is guilty if the folks in the Clippers organization are not guilty. They drafted this contract. They committed fraud essentially by saying that this was a real company and it's just basically a nothing company. And they created a no-show job for Kawhi Leonard because the contract that he was getting was just not enough money. So the $100 million that he has left on his contract is just not enough money. He had to steal an additional $28 million. He had to circumvent and be greedy. And this is what happens when people make this much money. It's never enough. It's just never enough. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think the NBA players are paid enough money in comparison to what the ownerships are receiving. And again, it's the same thing. Golden handcuffs, golden shackles, being a paycheck slave. They're beholden to these paychecks. They can't get them anywhere else. Kawhi Leonard, I think, this is just an instance of where, money, power, greed takes over. And that's just what we see. And, people have been reporting, oh, well, wouldn't you take the $28 million? No, I wouldn't. Not when I play for the NBA, not when I'm Kawhi Leonard already making so much money. He was only making $7 additional million a year, and that is a small thing to the giant salary that he was already making. So no, I wouldn't have cheated and wanted to take more money, because when is the money, like, what is going to be enough for you? How much money is going to be enough? And Stephen A. Smith, I thought, was really ridiculous in saying that. I mean, he's basically saying that Kawhi Leonard is guilty because he load manages. I mean, would he not be guilty, or would this be okay? Would the extra $28 million be okay as a no-show job for LeBron James because he shows up to work more often? Would it be more okay for Mikal Bridges to take an additional $28 million because he has 100% perfect attendance in his tenure in the NBA? Maybe if it were Mikal Bridges that stole an additional $28 million, that basically, they had a no-show job. If it was a player who's playing more, if it were Steph Curry's available a little bit more than Kawhi Leonard. If it were him, would he be criticizing him that way? Would he be saying that essentially we need to throw the book at him for this? But Steve Ballmer is a great guy who's done a lot for the league. What has he done for the league? Steve Ballmer created he built a new arena. So he circumvented the salary cap, allegedly. That's what it looks like. The evidence is overwhelming. But he's not guilty, just Kawhi Leonard. Because Kawhi Leonard is in what Stephen A describes to be a bad superstar. He's the worst superstar. I just don't see how that's relevant to this situation. No matter what kind of superstar Kawhi Leonard is, he either did this or he didn't do it. And him load managing and trying to make the most money for doing the least amount of work is not necessarily indicative that he's guilty in this situation. He's greedy and signed an additional contract to not do whatever it was that they were saying that he didn't have to do and make $7 additional million a year. And likely what that looks like and sounds like to me is that Steve Ballmer was offsetting the tax for him to be in LA. That's what it sounds like to me. Taxes in LA are so much more. And it seems like, okay, he provided this $28 million to sweeten the pot to get Kawhi Leonard to come because he was sort of threatening to go to the Los Angeles Lakers. But I know the answer why Stephen A. Snitch is only being critical of Kawhi. It's because he's a coon. That's why. Okay. He's a media coon and he capitulates to the ownership in the NBA and does not have the players back and will not be unbiased in reporting the news if he's able to, basically destroy one of them to lift himself and to get into the good graces of the owners. Because you've heard Stephen A. Smith say every single day what he thinks about is how he can put more money in his boss's pocket. That's his goal. He said that multiple times on First Take. And so if getting a problem child, quote unquote, like a Kyrie Irving or a Kawhi Leonard out of the league, that somehow lifts his reputation. I don't know how it does, but I guess it does. I guess it puts him in good graces with ownership and the NBA because he's on the side of the owners instead of being on the side of the fans. I could understand Stephen A's position if he was more so on the side of NBA fans, but he's not on the side of that either. He's just on the side of money. He's just on the side of, media narratives that are, that divide the sports community and create a negative environment. But hey, that's Stephen A. Smith for you. I wouldn't be myself if I didn't also share the other side of, the argument that Kawhi Leonard is not at fault for this. And the odd couple, Rob Parker and Kelvin Washington, they get into it about this. And you guys know how I feel about Kelvin Washington. He's always interrupting him. He's so long-winded, talks for several more minutes than Rob Parker. And, I didn't play too much of his take, but I want us to listen to what Rob Parker said. I mean, Kelvin pretty much was blaming Kawhi Leonard in this case. And Rob Parker is saying, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to remove accountability from the Clippers and Steve Ballmer, the ones that are in control of drafting a contract like this for Kawhi Leonard to sign. So here's Rob Parker completely cooking on the odd couple, and he cooked Kelvin Washington. So here you go.
I disagree. I totally disagree. This is not a Kawhi deal. Kawhi can't write that deal in contract. If his people approach Steve Ballmer and the Clippers with this, could be like, hey, we got to abide by NBA rule. He didn't write the contract for himself. They were willing to do it. It's like a guy cheating with a married woman, right? I'm single. She's married. Who's the onus on? The one who has a commitment with the husband, right? You're married. You made a commitment. I'm just.
How many times you did it?
No. I'm just trying to say, Kawhi, you can go ahead. The Clippers are here. They know the rules. They're circumventing a cap that's set up for the teams to be able to sign players. To put this on Kawhi, now I'm not saying he's without blame that he knew this was going on and all that, but this has to be, he can't make the deal and force the Clippers to break the rules and circumvent the cap. They have to be willing to be a participant in it and be able to fund this other company. This is on the Clippers, not on Kawhi. And the stuff you're giving him a hard time about what went on in San Antonio. It's obvious he's been hurt and he didn't buy into what they were doing. I don't think Kawhi won 2 championships, right? Mm-hmm. You think he doesn't want to play? I don't buy for 1 second Kawhi doesn't want to play or has faked any of his injuries or anything. I think the guy has really suffered. and has issues athletically because it makes no sense. When he plays, he's tremendous. There's no reason. He's a young guy. So I don't buy into that.
Okay.
I don't buy into what went on in San Antonio. I don't buy into this. This is not on him.
So you don't buy
this is on the Clippers.
You know what you're not in right now?
And I love that Kawhi did not go to the stack team when he had a chance.
I'm cool with that.
I am.
But you know what
I
you're
said
doing
that
right
showed
now?
me a lot.
You are not at Ross right now. Because if you were at Ross, you'll be buying up everything. You don't want to buy the fact that I'm not saying Kawhi Leonard has been injured. We all know that. But other guys, what would we be saying? Man, you got to man up. You got to push through.
He was criticized big time by Tim Dunk. Now, who was it? Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili came out publicly and questioned his health, which that's a code against players. You don't know my pain.
That sounded like I'm about to be a Negro spiritual.
You don't know my pain. What I've been through. You don't know how I feel underneath my skin. Who are you to tell me?
This is an amazing blues song right now.
I'm just saying.
No, man, I'm not done with you. You're not buying anything. Again, we know that guys are injured. We know that guys are hurt at times. Kawhi Leonard plays when he wants to play. He's gotten away with it. Not mad. That's why we said it. Kawhi Leonard again. The Spurs have been tight knit. We don't hear nothing really coming from him. DeMar DeRozan left the team still singing their praises. Everybody leaves and singing their praises. Kawhi the only one that has issue. Kawhi, you got to get back to you. This $28 million. You do know he's in the NBA PA, right? He's a part of the Player Association, which means he has to abide by the CBA, which means he has to abide by it. Brother, you can't get $28 million on the side.
He can't sign his own contract. Come on now.
What do you mean he can't? He literally signed it.
No, he can't. The team has to be willing
John
to
Hancock.
Stop it.
Kawhi.
The onus is on the Clippers. The onus is on the Clippers.
They get some of the smoke too.
Not some of it. They get all of the smoke because all they have to do is if that was the way it was presented, they could have said, no. This is against the cap. That's not what we've done.
Presented? I'm not saying they did present it. I'm saying they go to him and say, hey, man, we found a way around it. Here's $28 million for this wink company. He says, cool. All right. Signs on.
Dude, you think this is the only person that's been circumventing the cap in pro sports?
Oh, no. I just gave you an example. The Minnesota
No. You're talking about two that you caught. There are other teams and other players that they've no doubt about. The only reason you know about this is because of the documents that are public record. The only reason you know about Barry Bonds is because of Belko and when they uncovered the records. If you didn't know that, the same thing. You wouldn't know.
What is that? I wouldn't know anything until I know it, right?
No, but I'm trying to say that this goes on. This is not you think this is a Kawhi Leonard?
No, I think this is a
or Joe
the
Smith
Clippers
from 25 years ago?
just got caught.
Okay.
Kawhi Leonard was the guy. Could have been Chris Paul. Could have been anybody. But it's Kawhi Leonard. And all I'm saying is, Kawhi, do we not bring him up enough?
I just don't think that Kawhi Leonard gets all the blame here. He shouldn't. Steve Ballmer is equally to blame. They both are violating the rules of the NBA, and something needs to happen. But I just don't think that he deserves all the blame. It is kind of like, in a love affair, right? I think both people are wrong. And so you can't put all of this blame on Kawhi Leonard and not give Steve Ballmer any of it. You just can't do that. You just can't do it. And so I think what's really important here is that, people take a look at the facts. You know what I'm saying? Just like the Malik Beasley case, there was overwhelming evidence. And look, like a week later, that news cycle is dead because they came out and said that the feds are pulling back their investigation on him, that they've actually found that, this isn't quite what it was being reported. So people have to stop running around rushing to judgment. I mean, I've always thought that Kawhi Leonard was stealing money. He can't play. I've always thought that he should retire, but that's me as an NBA fan. I'm not on First Take. I do not have a responsibility to to really make sure that I get it right. But I will say that I have a responsibility to tell the truth as I see it. And I think we have to be more fair. So I think two things can be true. I think that Kawhi Leonard, could be totally, in his money stealing years in the NBA, which he has been, in my opinion. Pretty much, I felt like since he left Toronto, he couldn't possibly be really concerned about winning titles. Asking for Paul George, a serial loser, to come to your team, you can't possibly be really worried about winning titles. So, I question Kawhi Leonard's, real commitment to playing basketball. He is fantastic. I think really he was one of my favorite players to play in the LeBron James era. I always thought he was better than LeBron James. I always really enjoyed him watching his game. He's got a mix of everything. He can do everything on the floor, and it's really beautiful to watch. Just seeing him play in the playoffs and be competitive last season was amazing. So hopefully we're going to see him playing regularly. But I hope that this gets swept under the rug, because I don't believe that Kawhi Leonard is the only person that's greedy in the NBA. I think a lot of these players are playing for the money, and why not? The owners are making so much of it. So again, it's golden handcuffs. It's paycheck slavery that, that they're still being oppressed, even though they're making all this money. So we can't get upset with them for wanting all of this money because the owners they're making money hand over fist. Somebody like Steph Curry should be making $500 million a year if we're in a free market, but that's not the case. The NBA is still mistreating the players. They're still oppressing these NBA players. And again, they're always the worker and never the owner. So I don't feel bad that Kawhi Leonard and Steve Ballmer have circumvented the salary cap, but it is wrong. It is a violation of their rules. And this is something that is being investigated throughout the league. So the Knicks are under fire and under investigation. Jalen Brunson is being investigated for circumventing the salary cap, for accepting a lower deal. He claims it was to win a title and to bring, more teammates together to really, contend. And I want to believe him, but who knows what under the table deal the Knicks have done for him? Who knows? We really just don't know. So to sit here and, judge Kawhi Leonard for filth when this is something that's going on in the league rampantly and we have no idea who's doing what, for me to say what I would do, look, I wouldn't want, if I'm a great player like Kawhi Leonard, I would not want something like this to besmirch my legacy, not when I've already made millions. And there does get to be a point where when is enough enough? And so that's where I think the greed comes in, but that's just something that is human nature. And I think any of these players could be subjected to at any time. And so the judgment over this, I don't think is all that necessary, but it is something that should be investigated. And I think every team should be looked into. Every team should be audited for, how they're spending their money, what they're doing to potentially circumvent salary cap situations. Like, I really think that this is important. I don't think that only Kawhi Leonard should be investigated or only Jalen Brunson. This is probably something that is happening rampantly through the league. And the league, the NBA, they have a responsibility to be consistent in the disciplinary action that surrounds this. You can't do it for one and not for others. And that's where I take issue. And yeah, I mean, Rob Parker, he cooked on this, and I want to ask you guys, how much blame does Steve Ballmer and Kawhi Leonard deserve? Like, what do you think? Let's see. I want to read some comments from you guys. Let's see. Okay. Oh, it looks like we have some detractors in the comments, which I love that. So I definitely want to hear the different takes that you guys have. So Ballmer is a billionaire and he's going to get away with it. I mean, that's the suggestion that Stephen A. Smith is making, that because he's a good guy, he should just get away with it, or we should consider that. And I don't get how, because Kawhi Leonard load manages and because he doesn't talk, does that make him not a good guy? Because he's asked for some things from the Lakers, or, asked for a variety of perks that, maybe it was inappropriate, that makes him a bad guy? Leaning into power and money doesn't necessarily make you bad. It could make you bad. It could turn you evil. But we don't know if Kawhi Leonard is good or bad. Stephen A. Smith just admitted that he doesn't talk. So if he doesn't talk, like, why isn't he a good guy? Why isn't Stephen A. Smith talking about Kawhi Leonard like he's a good guy? He had kids in his New Balance commercial. What about that makes him bad? Ballmer was a little loose on this play, allegedly. Stephen A. Smith is racist against everyone that isn't a white billionaire. Isn't that interesting? How he puts down his own people instead of lifting them up. Imagine giving away a future superstar and draft picks, then being in jeopardy of losing whatever you got left. I mean, Exactly. And I think that that's why I wouldn't make a decision to take the money, because the $28 million is far less than what he's actually owed on his contract. So it's like, was taking that under the table deal, was taking that no-show job worth potentially putting the rest of your contract at risk, your reputation? I don't think so. So no, I wouldn't do that. But that's just me. Beach Girl Carly, everyone out here, including you, Dom, indicating and found Kawhi guilty, like you'll have all the evidence. What is this shit about he's greedy and the billionaire owners are not? This is so trifling. I'm not sure what you just heard and just watched, but I think there's blame to go around on both sides, and that's what I'm here to say. So, for me, there's a balance. I think that Kawhi Leonard has responsibility and ownership and accountability, and so does Steve Ballmer and the Clippers. And I also just mentioned that the ownerships of the league are extremely greedy. I implore you to go back and watch a couple of my episodes. I talked about the cabal of NBA ownership and how it has in fact oppressed the league and NBA players. So, I am very player centric, but I am going to call out serial losers on my channel. I am going to call out players that load manage and don't show up to play. I am going to call that out, and that's not going to change. So, I don't agree with load management, but at the same time, I'm not going to agree with Stephen A. Snitch dry snitching on NBA players and trying to take their jobs. So his platform is much greater than mine. And I'm not sitting here saying that Kawhi Leonard doesn't deserve to be employed, but I think that for his legacy and reputation, he should retire. If you can't play, you have no elasticity in your knees, you're cheating NBA fans. So I'm speaking from a fan perspective. I don't know what place Stephen A. Smith speaks from, but it seems like a negative, truly just polarizing place. So, I don't see how he's just giving his opinion in an unbiased way. I see him truly taking a stance and deciding that somehow Steve Ballmer is innocent. So, I'm sorry, I can't really help you there, but that's my stance. Ballmer is good for the NBA. I never heard of that fool until today. I mean, I've heard of him. I mean, I heard of him paying, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George a lot of money. I heard of him really, doing a lot to revamp the Clippers organization and make them competitive again and make them a respectable team. So I never had a problem with him. He is for the players. He loves his team and really wants to build a great organization. But, when you're engaging in underhanded ways to win and you get caught, you have to face the music for that. And that's just the bottom line. So if everybody's doing it, but he's the 10th person that got caught, that's how it happens. It's like, 12 people can run a red light and it's the 12th person that gets the ticket, not the 11 people that came before them. And that's just how it is. When you break the law, it doesn't matter that so many other people get away with it. So if you walk into a grocery store and you steal an apple, and a bunch of other people stole that same apple, but they didn't get caught, but you do, you can't say, oh, well, everybody else did this. You can't say that. But if the NBA caught 10 people doing this and they did nothing about it, but yet they want to take disciplinary action about Kawhi Leonard, that's a problem. And they cannot do that. And so hopefully there's either enough evidence that this is something that happens rampantly throughout the league, or there could be some, or they're finding that, hey, this is just something that, we have to kind of give a slap on the wrist for because everybody's done it and nobody has gotten disciplined. Or they could find that, this isn't really going on that much and it's, just a few bad apples. But what happens is one bad apple can ruin it for the bunch. We do have some super chats that I want to read. And yeah, Armand Smith. Rob Parker is absolutely cooking. I mean, he cooked Kelvin Washington on this. I felt that he really, to me, his opinion was the most, to me, it was the most neutral in a way, because Kawhi Leonard can't sign the contract if Steve Ballmer doesn't draft it. And that's just the bottom line. So it takes two. I just know that both are held accountable to these behaviors. So, players can't accept this kind of money that's outside of their contract, and owners can't provide it. So, Crestline Iceberg, I think that, so you feel that it should be more on Ballmer. And I mean, in a way, when you think about it, like, who is the owner of the organization? It's Ballmer. He's the owner of the organization. I think he does have actually a greater responsibility. So now that you say that, I mean, that actually makes sense. It can't be really equal because he is the owner of the organization. Players are going to come and go, right? But his decision making is going to live on. How he's managing that team and what he's doing to secure players, I mean, he should have greater blame. So, that's a really good point, actually. I can totally see that. Well, Beach Girl Carly, we're just going to have to be on separate ends. We fall different on this topic, and I'm okay with that. So, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I'm okay with you thinking that I'm pulling a Stephen A. Smith. That's fine with me. Totally fine. Stephen A. Smith, he really tries to destroy players. What I come in here and do is I debunk narratives. So if I see something that is a lie, something that I don't agree with, something that I think that I should react to, that's what I'm going to do. But, I have a day job. I don't come in here I'm not getting paid $100 million contract to tear somebody else down. That's not what I do. So if you think that I in any way equate to Stephen A. Smith, I can't help you with that. But I don't get paid to come in here and talk to you guys. I do this because I love it. There's a very clear difference. Now, I do want to get to some super chats before I wrap up with some bonus content for you guys. And it's an extension of Kawhi Leonard, but I thought it was really funny because I do want to end the show on a much lighter note. But I want to take a moment and read the super chats because I'm so grateful for you guys donating to the channel. So Cooley High 68 Unknown, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. There's no comment there, but I appreciate you. And then you also donated $4.99. Thank you and salute to you for your contribution. Woofio, salute to you for the $2 super chat. Ma'am, I'm tired of these 40-year-old babies. I'm with you. These 40-year-old babies, they just keep crying. There's just so many tears over what? Can't form a super team. It's just crazy. Stephen A. Smith is an Uncle Tom. He'd sell his mama for a pat on the head from an old white man. That's just the bottom line. And I mean, Uncle Tom has a variety of, I guess, people will view Uncle Tom as, differently, right? There's a good story about Uncle Tom, and then there's a bad narrative about Uncle Tom. So, either way, I understand your point. And Stephen A. Smith is a sellout, and he's selling his soul in order to, spread lies, spread hate, and be very polarizing to the sports community. So he's not trying to build a safe environment to discuss things and to disagree if you need to. That's not what Stephen A. Smith is doing. Salute to Donald Jackson for the $9.99 super chat. I really, really appreciate you. Dom always speaks facts. That's Sway. I love her show. I really appreciate you. And not everything I'm going to say is right. Sometimes I get it wrong. Sometimes I might make a mistake. I think the other day I talked about LeBron James in the 2007 finals run, and I called Boobie Gibson Boobie Johnson because I got Bumpy Johnson on my mind. I did a show about Harlem Gangsters as well. And I don't know. I just, I don't always get it right. I will make a mistake from now and again. And I just appreciate you guys hanging in there with me, sharing your thoughts, sharing your opinions and how you see it. I really appreciate all of that. So thank you. Woofio, there's another $5 super chat. Sports analyst talking about getting paid to do nothing. Racist hypocrite. Stephen A. Smith, he's getting paid to tear people down. He's getting paid to create and push narratives, not to give his opinion about the facts. That's what I want to hear more of Stephen A. Smith do. I don't want to hear the agenda that he has, and he's pushing certain agendas instead of just really calling it how he sees it. And sometimes I agree with Stephen A. Smith. He doesn't always get it wrong, but just what he does on a large scale, it's hard to wrap our mind around because he has campaigns against people. And he is a sports media analyst. He's a journalist. I'm a content creator. I'm not a journalist. Okay. So I'm not here to, I'm not sitting on some high horse. I'm not sitting on my soapbox, but Stephen A. Smith, what he has done to Allen Iverson, he's done it to, he's done it to Allen Iverson. He's done it to Kyrie Irving. He's done it to so many players, really. And it's not okay. Another $5 super chat from Wufio. Bet you dig deep enough in this hole, it's clutch sports propaganda to besmirch Kawhi. I mean, but they've been doing it. They besmirched Kawhi for the Summer Olympics, when really the real story surrounding that was that Kawhi Leonard, during a 3-man weave during practice, what he did was he did not pass the ball to LeBron. He just went ahead and dunked it. And LeBron didn't like that and got him removed from the team. That's the story. That's what somebody in the Clippers organization came out and said, that, hey, we didn't pull him back. This is what happened. Shout out to the Aces. Asia is balling. Absolutely. I mean, WNBA is on fire, even without Caitlin Clark playing right now. She just announced her, she made an announcement that she officially will be not, coming back for the season. So, hope she does come back next year, locked in and loaded. Hopefully she can, heal and rest up and come back and compete next season. But Asia Wilson is she's phenomenal. And I feel bad for Nafisa Collier because, she has been consistently number 2 to Asia Wilson. And I mean, they're just both incredible athletes, incredible players. I've said it before. I think Nafisa Collier has got this amazing athletic build. She was born to play basketball and to be an athlete. Salute to you, Spurzan, for the $1.99 super chat, and Wufio coming through with another $5 super chat. They're not going to dig too deep into this because they're going to they're going to find LeBron's name there and how he got his super teams together. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. I could imagine the underhanded deals that LeBron James has had in order to get star players. But did he really need to do these underhanded deals? I mean, when you're LeBron James, you don't need extra perks. You're a billionaire. I mean, he came into the league with a $100 million Nike contract at 18 years old. So when you're making that kind of money, you don't necessarily need more of it. That's why I'm wondering, has LeBron James offered that to other superstars to build his super teams? Or, did he not participate in any of that because it's a huge risk to get exposed? This is legacy. This is your reputation. This is a lot of things on the line when you're, engaging in something like this. But neither here nor there. I think that it's really interesting that Kawhi Leonard is coming under fire for this, that Steve Ballmer is getting absolutely no criticism, just he's a nice guy, and again, both of them are innocent until proven guilty. And look at what happened with Malik Beasley. Everybody was running around saying he was guilty, and it turns out he's not. That's what it turns out, that they're not. It's not like I don't think he's going to trial like everybody thought he was. So Guys, before I let you guys go, I want to talk about two more things. Okay. So Kawhi Leonard is on the Clippers, and I think that what's really interesting is that Kawhi Leonard, he hasn't really had much success with the Clippers, right? And when you think about it, they have him on the Clippers stealing money. They also have two other con artists, Ben Simmons. I mean, the guy, he doesn't like basketball. He's actually considering retirement. Ben Simmons likes jewelry, clothes, Met Galas, not actually being in the NBA. So him considering retirement is not a surprising report. You know, he has too much, it seems like some sort of psychological issue on the court where he doesn't want to shoot the ball. He's completely flamed out since his rookie season. And, you know, that's the report that Ben Simmons is considering retirement. So, you know, you basically have 3 con men on the Clippers. Oh, snap. Con men Clippers. I love it. I love that name. Con men Clippers. I mean, you basically have these scam artists playing. You've got Kawhi Leonard, you've got Ben Simmons, and now you also have James Harden, who is just a career con artist. I mean, he literally, I'm telling you right now, he's already writing his exit speech. He's already writing his exit speech from when, you know, essentially, you know, before he even gets eliminated. So he's going to have an exit speech planned. He's writing it right now for the end of the season so he can have a list of excuses for us and how he's going to come back and be amazing. So, you know, I just really think that this is going to be an interesting season for the Clippers. Like I said, Kawhi Leonard, Ben Simmons, James Harden, and I mean, fadeawayworld.net, they reported James Harden showing up again to camp with a dad bod. He's just showing up to the NBA with a dad bod for whatever reason. He doesn't want to take care of his body. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how an NBA player can show up to this league with a dad bod. Like, do you guys understand that? Because I just don't. I can't get it for the life of me. You know, and it's insane. NBA fans roast James Harden for weight gain in viral training video. So he's training, he's trying to get himself into shape. I just don't understand why he looks like this. I don't even understand what type of body type this is for an NBA player. So there's James Harden. He looks, you know, fairly decent. But yeah. He's still facing a lot of scrutiny from NBA fans. I mean, James Harden's physique has been the cause of some trolling ever since his Rocket days, and more recently got triggered on his China tour. The videos going around the internet have not done him any favors, and despite being back for almost a month, he's still facing a lot of scrutiny from fans for his physical appearance as he prepares for his 17th NBA season. Listed at 6'5", 220 pounds, Harden averages 22.8 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 8.7 assists per game last season, showing that he's still a massive value addition to the Clippers team and easily maintains his high IQ play across the entire season at his age. Last time he was seen, it looked like he was not in playing shape, and one could predict that as the season comes closer, he'll work on getting fitter. The latest video shared by the Instagram handle Sideline Sources shows that he's looking very different from a month ago and is probably sweating it out in the gym. But that has not stopped fans from incessantly trolling the beard. My gosh, guys, look at this. Look at this video, guys. Oh, no, this is not what I want to do. I wanted to just play it right here. Hold on a sec. Let me see. Let's see. Oh, I just want to click play. I don't know why it's telling me this. Okay. Well, here it is, guys. This is James Harden training. Look at his stomach. Oh my God. He looks so slow, so out of shape, like he can barely run. Oh my gosh. He's got a lot of work to do. I don't know how a player could show up to the NBA with a dad bod. This is absolutely insane. Sorry, guys. This whole time I wasn't playing the video. I mean, look at how slow he looks. I mean, how does he do this? How do they get ready so fast? Is it Ozempic? What's the situation? Man, James Harden looks crazy as hell. Seriously. Oh boy. Well, I wanted to show you guys James Dadbot Harden, how he shows up at the NBA. This is going to be a very interesting season for the Clippers. You got Kawhi Leonard and this whole scandal. You've got James Harden showing up fat once again. Then you have Ben Simmons, who, probably should be retiring or doing whatever he's going to do. So, guys, I want to just take a moment to thank you all for being here with me tonight. I hope that you can take a moment to do me a favor and like the video, share the video with your family, your friends, share it on social media, and let's blow up the sports tea community. And if we can just, like I said, like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. I mean, I'm on my job, guys. I need you to be on your job, okay? I need you to be on your job because ain't no party, okay? Ain't no party.
Be mad, I can have a spat, we can have whatever. Then after that, you better get on your job. That's really that's all it is. You got me on my job. Nah, it ain't never gonna work like that over here. You know what I'm saying? I was trying not to leave this message, but you have left me no choice.
I really appreciate you guys. Seriously, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. Get some rest, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.